All right, welcome back to Mind Your Business. I'm your host, Joel Butcher. Every Wednesday, 12 to 1, it's your local Middle Tennessee business lunch talk. We're here to help you grow your business, give you tips, and that's what we're talking about right now, networking. Everybody networks. If you've got a in-home business, kind of a multi-level marketing business, you're in sales, you own a business, and you have salespeople working for you. It's a great book. We still have 2 books to give away. Meet More, Make More, 931-645-6414. Great tips, easy read, and great show. And speaking of great shows, real quick, next week on the 24th, we've got David Tiller. He's going to host the show for us. He's from the Small Business Association. He's been on a couple of times. He hosted for us before. Great host. He knows what he's doing. He's got his own show in Nashville. You never know. John Marks, you never know what he's going to talk about, but it's always about business. He's got a wealth of experience and knowledge. But, I listened to it when I was actually in New York when he was on last time, and he does a great job. It's just hilarious. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss any show, but I will say this. He does a great job. And then July 1st, April Goochberg, she's a board-certified naturopathic doctor. She's the owner of HealthWise Naturopathic Clinic in Oak Grove. And also we've got David Perez talking about financial planning. So that's on July 1st. So a couple of great shows lined up. We got a great one on right now. Again, Stephen Meadows, Meet More, Make More. You can get it at Amazon. What's it cost?
It's on Amazon. It's $8.99.
$8.99 for $9. You can definitely talk about return on investment. We talk about if you're running a business, always look on a return on investment, whether it's advertising, whether it's a new piece of equipment or anything that you do. For $9, it definitely will help you. There's some great tips. Get your mind thinking. It always puts you in that sales and that networking, growing your business. And it's not so much just about growing your business, because you want to be able to help others grow their business. Because if it's always about you, you're gonna, you're overwatering that garden, and it's gonna get saturated, and it's gonna die off, and it's not gonna be able to be harvested. So, I want to get to the social media because it's hilarious. There's a lot of stories that are funny I could tell you, and I know you have some. But talk about that. How do you also balance that? Where it's not always your needs, where you're trying to help your client, but you also don't want to do the other reverse, to where you got to get the ones that are always seeking you. They're always calling you when they need something, but when you need something, they're never there. There's a part of your book where you talk about being able to say no, and that's huge. It's something that I'm even trying to get better at, because I've got a business I have to run, and so you have to think about yourself, right? I mean, you have to be able to say no. How do you differentiate? How do you balance that?
It's a hard lesson for me to learn too, which is why I wrote it. I still remember when I wrote that particular section. I had a rough week. You just get really drained in a sales business and networking. I mean, it's just very draining. If you work with a lot of volunteer organizations, whether it be in business or community, I think anyone will tell you, as soon as you volunteer for one thing, you get sucked into 5 others. Like, well, since you were so willing to help us there, you can help us there. But, where I get in my line of work, it's, somebody always wants something, whether it's money or time or something. They want my company to sponsor something, or they want me to sit on this board or that board, or do this mixer or that. And I try to do as much as I can, but eventually my calendar fills up, and I have to start prioritizing. Sometimes the prioritizing has to take kind of a rough turn to, you've just got to sit down and say, how worth it is it for me to do this? I've done this 3 times. I've sponsored this event 3 times. I haven't gotten any business from it. Is it worth the investment of my time and energy? Or do I even have the time and energy to invest in it? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. Is it worth it? And do I have the resources that they're requiring to pull this off? Because you're not doing them any favors or yourself if you commit to something that you can't follow through on, because you don't want to be that person that flakes out. Once you flake out, it's just, you're done.
How do you get beyond that to where you don't feel like you're burning bridges or you're making somebody mad? Or is it one of those things to where if somebody gets that mad at you, maybe you're making the right decision? How do you know when to say no?
Well, I've had to do it a lot more recently because I've gotten busy. I mean, this is our busy season, and I get a lot of last minute requests. Like, hey, we're having a thing next week. Can can your company sponsor $500? Yeah, my budgets are set. I mean, my manager sets our budgets at the beginning of the year. And yes, he has some flexibility, but I'm honest with them. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've already committed to 3 other things this month, and my budget's full. I mean, that's a very reasonable response, and especially if it's true. Even if it's not, absolutely true, I guess you could go that route. But I mean, for me, it's usually true. If I say no, I can't, it's because I can't. I mean, I've already committed the resources. If people get mad, they get mad. I mean, I'm always very apologetic about it. People know I hate telling them no. Like, it's like one of the worst words in my vocabulary. I just absolutely hate to let someone down because I live in mortal fear that they won't ask me next time. If I say no to you one time, you're never going to ask me again. That's what I just absolutely am always afraid of.
Which sometimes
you just have to get over it.
Is not a bad thing.
Right, exactly.
But it's true. It's just one of the things. It's that balance to where you want to ask for help when you really need it. You don't want to always be asking it, kind of the cry wolf syndrome, and then when you really need it, it's not there. So it's knowing that balance. It's knowing, having that network, and it all comes back to it again. Meet more, make more. Having that network, but you can't always be the one asking for it. You've got to be able to have the ability to, and the time to say, you helped me last time, I help you. And a lot of times, one of the things that I've been able to do, which in the long run, I mean, I'm still doing something, but it doesn't take as much energy sometimes or of my time, is I say, I can't do it, but let me give you a number because I know somebody that is better than I am at it. Let me connect you two together and you guys handle it. I mean, that's another alternative to where you're helping them indirectly. So to me, that's always a good out, is if you can find a replacement for you.
Yes, and I actually use that on a regular basis. I mean, I shouldn't say regular. Once in a while, I'll get a new agent calling me to talk about my services, and for one reason or another, it's I don't have what they need. My product isn't what they need at that point in time. I'm upfront with them. I let them know, you know what, I wouldn't recommend going this route with what you have. Let me give you a number of my competitor. I don't like doing that, but you know what? They're going to call me back. That agent almost always comes back to me the next time because I was so helpful to them that first time, and I was so willing to put the needs of their client above my own needs. And that's what really is important about networking, is it's not about me. It's about what can I do for you. Yes, there is some reciprocation desired, but it's not on the surface. I don't come to you with my hand out saying, I'm going to help you this one time, Joel, but you better pay me back. That's not networking.
Right. Well, network is a lot more than face-to-face, and you mentioned that in your book. The whole social media, which is kind of taken over, it's the new school networking. The old school networking is you had to go face-to-face. You had to build those relationships. It was always easier, and sometimes it's harder to say no face-to-face. Social media has kind of made it easier for you to say no because, it's quick. You can get off, you can get off the phone real quick or whatever, but you got to think, we mentioned it before break, keep business and personal pages separate. And we've mentioned this several times on the show, and the reason I keep mentioning is you keep seeing the same mistakes over and over. And if I can get one business to stop doing it, then I've succeeded and I'm happy and I can move on with this show. But so many times you see people say, well, this is my private page and I only have a small group of people on it. But what they don't realize is those other small group of people, they may have a large group of people and they still see it. And one of the things is that the comments that people make on their private page when you own a business, it's not your private page. Anything that has to do with you is your business if you own a business or the company you work for. Talk about that from your perspective of keeping a business and personal Facebook page, Twitter page, everything separate.
Well, I started doing that a while ago when I started this job. It was just a great decision. I have my business page. That's where I post all my business related things. if I'm on my personal page, I'm talking about personal stuff. Once in a while, I'll mention business. Like I'll post that I was here. I took that picture earlier and posted it on my personal page or whatever, because it's still me. But I'm not on there saying buy warranties, buy warranties, buy warranties. My friends don't want to see that.
Right.
That's not what they're on there for. So it's important just to keep that separate. But more importantly, my big soapbox when it comes to social media is have a message, have a different message. My big thing is I do not post about home warranties. That is my business. That is what pays the bills, is my livelihood. You can go on my business page right now, and I would challenge anyone to find anything within probably the last 10 to 20 posts that has anything to do with home warranties. It's just there might be one on there recently because it was an article that was written by somebody in my company. But otherwise, I just don't. I post things that my target audience will find helpful. Hey, here's an article about the top 5 lead generation tactics, or here's an article about home staging. Here's an article about the millennial generation and their buying habits.
But you just have to be consistent. You have to be consistent so you're not confusing. If it is your business page, you have to, just like networking, you have to be consistent with what represents your business. But it just drives me crazy. The best thing a person can do is not have a personal page. It's just my opinion. If you have a business, if you have a personal page, it's so hard to keep them separate. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to opinions. What you talk about networking and on what to bring up and what not to bring up in networking, it falls even on social media. You don't want to get into those hot-butted topics like religion, like politics. Different beliefs where somebody might be passionate about, to where now you might have a great networking group, and all of a sudden now you're that guy and somebody's not. It's already tough. My 5-finger rule is, for every 4 people that like you, there's one person that's not going to like you, and you have nothing that you can control over it. Mm-hmm. They may not like one of the other 4 that like you, and so that's why they're not going to like you. So you can't take it personal when networking, but you can't confuse people, and you got to keep it business topic. You can throw some personal things. You mentioned also in the book, there's a lot of good stuff in this book. Meet More, Make More. I mean, there really is. It covers so much, but it flows. Again, great job with it. But, thanks. You talk about building that network, keeping connected, finding out is that maybe their kid's on a softball team or a baseball team, and you say, hey, congratulations on your win. Mm-hmm. You can mix that, personalize into it, but don't get topics to where you're going to get in a debate.
Right.
I tell you what, let's take a final break. When we come back, I'll find out some different things that after you wrote the book, you said, wow, I wish I'd included that. It's always the afterthought. So you're listening to Mind Your Business. We're here with Stephen J. Meadows, John Michaels, talking about Meet More, Make More, networking. You're listening to Mind Your Business, brought to you by Keystone Realty Management.